Hello everybody, I'm back with another video for you today, and I wanted to go over some of the best cards that you can craft that have come out of the Master Mirror expansion. Now these are kind of just the objectively really good cards that will be good in most decks, especially if you're kind of a newer player, lower ranked, then you can throw these cards in most decks and they're going to be very, very powerful. Or if you build the deck in a way to support them, then they're going to work really, really well. And yeah, I have a couple for each faction, so let's jump right into it. The first kind of neutral card that I will say is worth potentially crafting is Ethereal. Now this is kind of a worthy mention. Where is he? This one is a worthy mention because he is pretty good in certain monster decks. You're thinking things like Gurnakora, you're thinking things, or Fruits of Isgith, you're thinking things like just playing it with drones or 1-strength units that you can spawn on your row. It's just a pretty good card, and it might see play in some other decks down the line. I would be a bit hesitant to craft this, but it is an epic card, so if you're after something that you can maybe try out and, experiment with a little bit, then you can go for Ethereal. Other than that, I would recommend a Neuromancy, but again, I don't think it's the strongest card actually, and I think Devotion kind of overshadows a Neuromancy on some level, but again, this is a decent craft. If you want something that can fit in most decks, then you can probably throw this one in and it will be decent, particularly if you are kind of on a lower amount of scraps and weaker collection overall. Then this card can definitely fit in a lot of decks. So that's what I'm going to say for neutrals, and then let's get into the individual factions. So for Syndicate, I think the best two cards of the expansion are probably Ulrich, who is really, really good with Fallen Knights. That's probably the main sort of value and big play that Syndicate has got from the expansion. That combined with sort of crime decks is very, very powerful. And also Dies Irae, I think over time we'll eventually see this card being sort of seen in all of the crime Syndicate and swarmy Syndicate decks, because it does what you need. It is an echo card, and typically the echo cards are very good, and you're able to swarm very hard with Congregate and enable this in multiple rounds. So I would say these are the two best cards, but for Syndicate I would be a bit cautious of crafting cards, particularly if you're not super into the faction. I'd maybe go for a different faction, because I'm also not too sure how strong Syndicate will end up being, and these cards are very much playing for a very particular archetype. They won't fit into that many decks. I know I was saying that all of these cards will fit into any deck, but with Syndicate here we've got a bit of an exception. These cards are very much requiring you to play some Firesworn synergies. Okay. Next up we have Nilfgaard. Nilfgaard, kind of a similar situation. I would say Usurper is a card that you can definitely craft. This one is very, very powerful. Like many of the evolving cards, just a very good value card. And if you want to play a Devotion style Nilfgaard, you can do that and it's going to work pretty well. And I've seen a lot of people playing Masquerade Bull with this. I've seen a lot of people playing Spy archetypes. Kind of unsure what the actual best top Nilfgaard deck will be once the meta settles down, but I'm pretty sure Usurper will find a place in there, even if it's something soldier based because he is a soldier, or if it is more based around aristocrats and all that stuff. But he's definitely a safe craft. And Brathens to some extent is as well, although I'd say maybe be a bit careful with crafting this one. He's especially good if you're playing Spies, but only time will tell how good Spies is as an archetype. I think he's pretty decent if you're playing any kind of Thirsty Dame deck that gets value from you playing the Spy, the status, and he has good flexibility, good synergy with certain things. So it's a good card, and you can throw it in a lot of Nilfgaard decks, particularly if you're new, but just be a bit cautious. If you're looking for the top tier sort of Nilfgaard deck, the top tier crafts, then be a bit careful about this one, because I'm not sure how he'll pan out and whether he will see play in the very tippity top Nilfgaard decks down the line. Alright, next up we have Skellige. Now, Skellige, I have 3 crafts because I think Skellige is the strongest faction at the moment. Honestly, you could even throw the Scoia'tel in here. He's another great card, and I mean, there's just so many good crafts for Skellige. Harold is incredible. Probably you're going to play him in no matter what Skellige deck you're playing. Just getting that Resurrect on one of your most powerful veteran units is no joke, and the Devotion ability as well is one of the strongest, especially if you're combining it with greatswords. So Harold is a really good pick, going to make your deck a lot stronger. Same with that Usurper. These evolving cards have a huge impact. They act as really big plays for your deck, so definitely consider investing some scraps in one of these strong cards. Getting one of these guys is arguably you know, worth getting 4 epics of kind of middling value. One of these guys is definitely going to swing things in your favor. So Harold, really, really strong, of course. Blood Eagle, another really good card. Again, an Echo card. You'll find a lot of the Echo cards are really good because you're able to get a lot of value on the first play and then a lot of value on the second play. So you're effectively getting double the value, and while you've got to do some maths to work out how much that is actually worth, it is pretty damn good, let me say that much. And Blood Eagle, really nice if you have some warriors in your deck. Even if you're tutoring out weaker warriors, you know, your 4-5p warriors, it's still actually a very good card. So ultimately, yeah, Blood Eagle, definitely a safe and strong craft for Skellige. Unless Skellige gets some crazy nerfs, I don't see this card ever being a bad craft. And yeah, Scoia'tel and Hercule Drummond, they're both really solid epic cards. So if you have some spare, you know, scraps, or you're focusing on Skellige, I definitely recommend grabbing these guys. Just never going to go wrong as long as you're playing Devotion style Skellige. If that doesn't interest you, then of course don't go for the Scoia'tel, and you know, you can always probably fit Hercule in a deck, although that damage is definitely more useful if you're doing sort of Great Swords, Bloodthirst, and those sort of shenanigans. But it'll fit pretty much anywhere, I think. These 4-for-7s are generally very, very strong, very difficult to remove with that Veil effect, and of course the ability to instantly get their value if you need to. And next we've got Scoia'tel. Now Scoia'tel is, you can go different routes and paths. If you want to play sort of big symbiosis stuff, then you can definitely craft Ifne, she's a good one for that, and Devotion and all that good stuff. But I would say that Forest Protector and Dunker are just cards that you're going to be able to play in any deck. Like, you can try anything with Scoia'tel and you can make Forest Protector and Dunker fit in and get you a huge amount of value. Both of these cards are just above curve, they're just doing better things than their counterparts. This is probably the best 4-for-7 card, honestly. I think if this were in any other faction it would be a little bit broken, but since it's in Scoia'tel and Scoia'tel's looking a little bit weaker on this patch, then this card is kind of more fair. But overall, yeah, the hand buff ability on this is really good. You can boost it up with tactical advantage, keep it alive, and it's just so annoying and getting you a ton of carryover. And you've also got Forest Protector, which is just a great power play with Nature's Rebuke. You can fit that in a Harmony deck, in a Symbiosis deck, in really anything that you're going to try. So those are definitely 2 safe crafts. But again, if you want to go Ithne, or you know, Frakes, those are options as well for pretty good crafts. And even the Echo card is okay if you're going to go heavy on Symbiosis. Next up we have Northern Realms. Northern Realms, a little bit of a tricky one to say. You can definitely try Viraxis, and if you're interested in doing that, I have a deck guide which you can check out. I'll link it you know, in the info part of the screen, wherever that is. But yeah, there's a video on this channel with some Viraxis, so if you want to go for that route and if you have some scraps to spare, I would recommend him. He isn't completely necessary though, and you can play Northern Realms without him, so I would, you know, since he's so expensive, I'd maybe avoid that and go for something like Amphibious Assault instead. Bang for your buck, this is one of the best cards in the game. It's just so powerful. If you're playing this with any of the new you know, Devotion units, for example the Karak Marine or even Karak Cutthroat, you're getting just really insane 12 value on your play of this first time and 12 value on your second play. You can also play it with Kedweni Knight for that 12 strength play again. It just allows you to turn your bronzes into these absolutely monstrous power plays, synergizing heavily with your deck, and you're able to reuse it. It can be tutored out with John Natalis. It's just a really powerful card, and I don't see any Northern Realms deck really not running Amphibious Assault. I think this card is just auto-include. It's really that good. Really, really powerful. And the other card here is Egmont. This is not so strong, but you know, he's quite cheap, and you can again slot him into any deck, really. If you have provisions spare, he's not going to be a bad option. Again, another 4-for-7 Veil. These guys are pretty good, and I think they will be here to stay. Again, you've got that damage ability as well, which can be nice to clean up some enemy units. And lastly, we have monsters. Now, monsters have some pretty good options. I've chosen to go with Oberon King and the Hyperion Phantom as the crafts here. Just the evolving card. Very, very powerful. Again, allowing you to get some insane short round value. Allows you to thrive very heavily if you're playing Thrive units as well. And just, yeah, best in a sort of a Monsters Devotion deck where you're able to get the Conquerors from the ability there. You know, and just get a ton of points that way. The Phantom is also very good, fits in sort of a Wild Hunt archetype, and it's just a good engine that gets 1 point per turn, and again, that damage is really nice. against certain things. So those are great crafts to go for monsters. If you're interested in doing ethereal shenanigans, you can. Or you've also got Frost with Winter Queen and Ardgaith. If you're going to go the Frost route, then those cards are very good, and I'm sure you've probably seen people playing Winter Queen against you. It's a very strong card, so again, either of these, crafting those is going to be pretty worthwhile if you want to go that route. But these two are definitely very safe. That being said, that's all of the crafts I have for you guys, so let me know if that was useful. Hopefully it will be, especially for some of you newer folks out there who are kind of working out or trying to work out where you want to go and what faction you want to play and what cards you should include and craft from the new expansion. With that being said, if you did enjoy, please hit that like button and subscribe as always. And thank you guys a lot for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.